Okay, the videos for items 2 and 3 will not be as involved as the video for item 1, but still I encourage you to make sure that you're listening to all of the video for anything. I do have a missing requirement for item 2, so be sure to listen carefully and attentively and take good notes. If you haven't done so yet, I do encourage you to have first completed your response for item 1, to have cross-checked it to make sure that you really have constructed an argument per the 1B checklist. For checking to see if you've constructed an argument, make sure that your reasons are relevant and adequate to and in supporting your conclusion as lectured on for item 1. Remember that everything that I said for item 1 in terms of the basics apply as well to all the other items, and I'll remind you of that in a moment. So assuming that you've already done a response, let's go ahead and look at the second of 3 topics, scenarios, and whatnot. So item 2, read step 1. Okay, so you're reading the context in question for professor via this video. The context for this is pulled from the Dallas Morning News, and I do give you the link if you want to copy and paste it and see it online and read the full article. The article is much longer than what I present here. What I've given you is an excerpt that is most relevant to what I wanted you to argue about. So I just cut out what I want, copied and pasted what I want you to focus on. So go ahead and read this. And if you're interested in more of what the article had to say, you're certainly welcome to do that, but do make sure that you read this. I'm not going to read this with you in the video, so go ahead and pause this before you move on. And like that, when we go to the prompt and the question, you'll know what I had in mind from real life, from about a real person. This guy right here, his name's Barry McCary. He owned or owns, or I don't know if he still owns, a business in Deep Ellum, and he received some kind of negative impacts from the protest and whatnot that was going on during the summer that followed the killing of George Floyd. So go ahead and read that so that you can make more sense of the prompt and question. Assuming you've done that, we're going to go ahead and go to page 4 of 6 of the foundational writing assignment document with our focus still continued on item 2. So unlike item 1 had only 1 page, page 2. Item 2 has 2 pages, of context and directions and instructions and whatnot. If I had just given you a link to the article, then I could have fit all of item 2 onto 1 page, but I wanted to go ahead and give you the excerpt so you didn't have to scroll and look for it online. Okay, so now let's look at the prompt. Okay, so make sure that you read all of that you read all of this with me, because this is going to now help you focus your thinking even more. So here I say, some claim that the looting and destruction of property following the killing of George Floyd is the result of citizens being fed up with police brutality. As such, some go on to say that we should see that looting and the destruction of property, or see that looting and destruction as property as an acceptable instance of social and political protest. In other words, we should at least tolerate looting and the destruction of property when such behavior is caused by compelling social and political concerns. Maybe I just need to slow down. Let me try that. It is interesting to note how McCary, the black business owner of a shop, appears to understand emotions associated with the killing of George Floyd, but at the same time does not fully condone what some did during the civil protest, or what some had done during the civil protest following the killing of George Floyd. Do you guys just see how I had to slow myself down? And I realized this is something that I want you guys to be wary of. Try not to read too fast or too quickly through anything. Really to just say, hey man, am I in a fast thinking mode or slow thinking learning mode? I just had to shift gears, make shift happen, and switch to my slow reading. And I just wanted to own up to that and show you how I'm role modeling that. Sometimes, of course, that requires mindfulness, becoming aware in the moment that something is happening. And what this has allowed me to do here is I became aware that I was reading too fast, I was making mistakes, and in the moment I realized that this was happening, I realized it was happening, and I self-corrected. Tip for life. All right, so this leads us to our next question. Do you think McCary, that is Barry McCary, the person that was discussed in that article excerpt, was morally obligated to fully tolerate the destruction of his business by those looting and destroying property during the protest against brutality. So just as you did for item 1, you have two ways to approach this. If you have a definite answer to that question, that he was or was not morally obligated, you'll use this setup. If you are not able to draw a definite conclusion, then you'll use this setup. By now, you should know what is going on in terms of the instructions and steps or components or elements of this component being given. So I'm not going to repeat information you already have. You might want to just write that you should see your notes for the video from item 1 for general expectations, for a general elaboration and video-based instruction on what it is you're trying to achieve. It's just that here the topic is different. The focusing question is different. The sentences that you're copying have different content in them. But generally what I said with respect to the video for item 1 still applies here. Same thing with the examples. Go back to your component, component 1B, examples of constructing arguments when you have a definite position, and go back to your examples from component 1B lectures on how you can construct arguments for when you can't make up your mind based on seeing opposing sides or because you need missing information. I am going to add a missing requirement, and that is that you also here have to provide a definition. As with the item 1, I held the same expectations for your definition. So the word that I'm going to want you to define for item 2 in your response to item 2, no matter what approach or strategy you use, is the word tolerate. Okay? Since that is a word that's used, or you can use the word tolerant. Just remember everything that I said about what all is required of your definition, where you can go to find the definition, where to place your definition in your response, and the punctuation to use in your definition. So all of that applies. You see how much shorter this video was? Go ahead and work on this response. Cross-check it against 1B and 1C lecture notes and written instructions. And then I recommend that you go to the next item, but only after you've completed this. If you did not take notes or you have forgotten what I said about how the requirements for the definition and how you incorporate it in your response, then go back to where I have the videos for item 1, and you can I posted the same video for the second bullet and the fourth bullet with respect to item 1, the item 1 videos, and that's where I went over that. I need to also add something, and that is that when you are responding to these scenarios or contexts, you want to make sure that you don't distort the information provided, and that you don't distort anything that you get from like the article or from the videos or anything like that. You want to try to be as accurate as you can in doing so. It does help to go over the grading rubric, which I go over in a different video.